this budget season, it's how far in the red are we this budget season. So understanding that from this point on, public entities need to start innovating and talking differently about how we plan, how we vision, how we gather ideas. This was that opportunity to start that conversation internally and with our elected officials. So the application process, Jeff did come in and he sat down and he had me come into his office and he said, you know, oh, class is always half full, so guess what you're going to do? And I did think, oh no. And then I got kind of excited about it as I started reading materials and talking with Nico and some of the staff at the university. And I happen to be a graduate at the University of Oregon. So I was just fresh enough out that it felt like a really fun activity and something that we know, oh, I can understand this. I think we can make this work. So it took a real simple conversation with our council president to say, what do you think about this? And then from there, it was out of our hands. We didn't have a choice. Council had decided you're going to apply. We'll figure out logistics afterwards, but we need to forge this relationship. We need to inspire ourselves and our community. We need this. This is a really healthy thing, and it couldn't come at a better time, because when we can't build things because the economy is tanked, we should be planning for how to build them when the economy recovers. So I think one benefit to the process is knowing that the council of the city that you partner with is just that they're a partner and they're on board, and you don't have to make them believe that they already are. The projects that we selected for our application were projects that already existed, which was also very important. They were projects that had already had some groundwork and visioning work done by staff and community members. The council was already aware of them. So what we had already done was pave the way for getting belief and buy-in from our stakeholders that this was important. We didn't have to do that anymore. They were the papers. What we had to do was say, okay, this is time, and this is a slight divergence from the way we would have gone, but let's try this. Let's see if we can move the project off of the shelf and back onto the table. The benefit was that because they were already projects that existed, staff already existed that knew about the projects, that knew about the constraints, and that were already sort of ready to go to talk about it with students. The last part, and the part that was the most painful, was the funding component. And there were a couple of meetings. They said, congratulations, you got it. And Nico and Mark, I think, I was sitting at a table and I must have had a really horrible look on my face. And then I had to like, oh, we have to pay for this. And they both scooted their chairs up to me and they said, okay, talk to us. Like, what's on your face? What's going on? And I had the, well, we've got to make sure that every dollar is really there. It's a big commitment from a city, and we don't spend $5,000 with really figuring out what the benefit's going to be. So this was a risk, and it was that moment where we had to realize that, you know, low risk, low return. So let's take a medium risk, and they're telling us that the return will be great. So this sort of defies what we currently understand. Let's try it. The other component, and I kept putting it in perspective for myself, was that regularly we will spend $150,000 as a city on a full plan. So say we're analyzing circulation in a downtown. That plan with a single entity will be $150,000 likely, and it can take 9 months to do it. And that's just for one topic, one project. So to have a budget of about $250,000 and look at over 30 projects is, in our scale, quite good, as long as we can make sure we're in there often, sort of manipulating the type of product we're going to get. So then we developed a proposal around sort of all of these topics. It made the actual proposal development pretty easy, since we made a point to set the groundwork before we went. So getting into the projects a bit more specifically, again, the projects were, once we had identified that we were going to use projects that already existed, this wasn't about reinventing wheels or creating new fun things. This was about getting at real services and real issues. The project list became pretty important. We needed to make sure that they were aligned directly to council goals. We don't spend $1 on anything without it being a direct path to getting at a council goal. Again, the existing ideas and projects, these are neighborhoods that have already expressed concern over things. These are developments that are already dealing with the downfalls of the economy, vacancy rates, no reinventing the wheel. And acknowledging that we internally already had agreement in the organization that we don't agree on why it's important. And that's a difficult place to be in as an organization, because you don't want to communicate that outwardly, but you need to resolve the issue. And it had this sort of aha moment of, what if we let students, what if we don't tell them that we don't agree with one another, but we let them look at the constraints and maybe propose to us what their fresh ideas might do to fix it. And then maybe we'll start talking about the project differently, and we can move beyond the barrier that we all think exists. And we have our staff, which I can't say enough about our staff. When we start, I think part of the benefit of Springfield and probably Salem and Gresham is that our staff are excited and they're committed, and it's not just about going to work every morning at 8 and getting out of there by 5. They're actually invested in the work they do, and so I think that's pretty important when you're finding that partner city. So this we won't go into, but these are all of our projects. These are really more project categories, and in a lot of these, what ended up happening is the university presented multiple courses that could tackle that project category from several different lenses. And again, you can ask questions as we go, or tell me to stop or say something else. A little bit more about actually the number of projects, so 14 projects in total equaled about 30 courses. We talked about a brownfield site, and we said we don't know vacancies really, the building's ugly, the vacancies are high, it's right in the middle of a district that could really benefit from something actually occurring. And the university said, well, let's look at it through an architecture lens and a planning lens. And so we ended up with 2 courses.